Welcome back to Sports Hop. You already know what time it is. It's your boy Mack B in the building, back at it. Episode 53 is in full effect. Shout out to all the subscribers. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We appreciate all the love and the support. We got another hot show for you today. I'm in the building. Solomon's in the building. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. Too blessed to be stressed, like I always say. Busy as ever, but yeah, it's been a minute. We appreciate you tuning in, and we're going to dive right in because we got another busy show and a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to land in the Bay Area, and we're going to start with Dub Nation getting it done ever since they executed the trade for Jimmy Butler. Shout out to the Warriors. They got a little pep in their step. They got their little swag back. Well, they never lost it, but I think they've ramped up the intensity. Ever since Jimmy Butler came over from the Heat, the Warriors are 13-1 with Jimmy in the lineup. Currently, they sit at 6th place in the Western Conference standings. They're only 2.5 games behind the Lakers, who are dealing with some injury woes right now. I didn't know that this trade would be so impactful. I thought it was a good move by Golden State, moving off of Wiggins, basically rinse and repeat. They got Jimmy Butler coming in. He can space the floor. He's got that dog in him, right? So that he'll get in your face. He's got a lot of bark to his bite. So I do like the move by Golden State. And Jimmy seems to be reinvigorated, right? He definitely is playing at a high level. I like what he's doing in terms of spacing the floor, getting to the rim, defending, which is something I thought he's doing much better than Andrew Wiggins did. And I think he's more consistent of a player. But Steph is always dangerous. Shout out to Steph Curry, greatest shooter that ever lived. Recently hit the 4,000 mark, hitting 4,000 three-pointers in his career. He'll get to 5 before you know it. Just watch. But Draymond Green, you still got some complimentary pieces and Moody and Kuminga and some great players coming off the bench for the Warriors. So I think Golden State is getting a little bit slept on right now, and I think they're a dangerous team. They're getting hot at the right time. The playoffs are less than a month away, so keep your eye on the Warriors in the Bay Area. Is there a gold rush in the Bay Area where they can possibly contend for another title under the helm of Steve Kerr? We'll see how it plays out, but I feel pretty good about Golden State. I thought they were a little bit undersized, even though they did get Butler in that trade. But still, they've been managed to get it done because they're shooting well from the perimeter. They're spacing the floor. They're stretching the floor. They're making plays. Defensively, they stepped up their game. Shout outs to Draymond Green, who's always the emotional leader on that team. So I do like what they're doing. The West is more loaded than a baked potato at Wendy's, right? I say it all the time. So, don't forget the chives and the sour cream. You know what time it is, right? I'm getting hungry already, but you got Memphis. I mean, you still got the Lakers. When LeBron comes back, I think they're going to be dangerous. But the Thunder are the top dogs in the West. And I believe in the Thunder wholeheartedly. I thought 4 months ago, I predicted the Thunder were going to win it all, and I'm going to stand behind that pick. But the Warriors are coming. They're moving up quick in the standings. I think they're a very dangerous team. I don't think anybody in the West wants to play Golden State in any of the rounds, particularly the first round. So we'll see what happens as they continue to ascend. It might be a first-round matchup where you got the Lakers and the Warriors playing. I'm hoping that isn't the case. I'd like to see them go at it in the later rounds. But I think the Warriors are definitely a threat. I think that they can at least minimum get to the second round of the postseason, depending upon where they end up in the seeding. But what are your thoughts, Solomon, on Golden State, the acquisition of Butler, because I think he's been a blessing in the Bay, and I think there's a chance for another gold rush. I can't rule them out. What are you thinking here?
Well, I'm thinking that I'm not sold on Jimmy Butler in the long term. Because Jimmy Butler's
right now
to go into a team, come in all reinvigorated, do his thing, and then eventually it sours on him. But it takes a couple years. So the best I can say is Golden State is getting Jimmy Butler at the right time. coming off his sour, and now he's into his bag, playing at a high level. But what I really like about this team is it complements Steph now. So it gives him another target so that Steph could get open a lot easier. It's reinvigorated Draymond Green. And I think that's what they lost in Klay Thompson, that ability for him to be a true threat where people, would really go after him, and Steph could get some freedom. They lost that when he lost a step, and so they've got that back. It does make them a contender. I agree with you, and you're right. They've slowly crept up. I don't think anybody was expecting it to make this much of an impact.
Yeah.
So but like you said, though, the West is still very, very tough. Don't forget Denver. Don't forget OKC, and then the Lakers, and that's who I'm personally picking, because I feel like once they get healthy, they can figure out a way to win. They've got a very, very smart coach, in JJ Redick, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if the Warriors keep defending the way they're defending and they can stretch the floor and shoot the basketball at a high level like they've been, I'm not ruling anything out, including a trip to the finals. You just never know. They still got playoff pedigree. They got a great coach in Steve Kerr. They've got a nice, solid nucleus on their roster. So we'll see how it plays out. I am a little concerned, though, when they get to these other teams that have length under the rim, like the Oklahoma City Thunder with Holmgren and the big men underneath. You also got Denver with Jokic and some of these guys, the teams that can definitely defend. So we'll see how it plays out. But shout out to the Warriors, Dub Nation. I see you down there in the Bay Area. Keep shining. We're going to move on, and we are going to Believe Land, also known as Cleveland or Cleveland, depending upon how you talk, right? But the Cavs are making me a believer. I mean, they've won 16 straight games. Right now, they're currently 56-10. They've got 16 games left in the regular season. The question is, can they win it all, number one? And number two, can they get to 70 wins? Can they go 70-12? Well, right now, they're 56-10. They got to win 14 out of the last 16 games to make that happen. In the history of the NBA, there hasn't been too many teams that have hit the 70-win mark in the regular season. But I think what's more important on the Cavs' radar is actually getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, knocking off the Celtics or whoever they play, assuming they get that far, and then winning a championship. They haven't won a title since LeBron left. So we'll see how it plays out, but I do love Donovan Mitchell averaging 24 points a game, putting up some great numbers. Evan Mobley averaging 18 points a game, 9.5 boards a game, and Darius Garland. So they've got a great lineup. They got a good bench. I like the way Cleveland is playing. They're a tough team, and they really are good, particularly when the game is on the line. The Cavs have grown right before our very eyes. So I like the maturity factor and the growth in Cleveland. Believe Land, you got me believing. So I think Cleveland is a bigger threat than what people think, despite the fact that Boston won it all last year, and you still got, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Derek White, and Porzingis has been sidelined for the Celtics. So come playoff time, we'll see. Health will always be a factor for both teams, but it'll be interesting to see at some point if Cleveland goes up against the Celtics in a 7-game series. It's going to be hard to beat Boston 4 times, but if anybody can do it out east, I'm banking on the Cavs. I've seen them play. I kind of slept on them earlier in the year. I'm not going front, but Cleveland has got me believe, man. Believe it, man. Believe Land, believe it, man. I'm in believe, man, believe it, land mode, right? So shout out to the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell and Mobley and Garland, and the whole squad has just been playing at a high level. So I definitely think that Cleveland has a shot to get to 70. But they may land around 67, 68. I'm not mad at Cleveland, even if they don't get to the 70-win mark. What really matters is what happens in the postseason. So we'll see how it plays out. I do believe that Cleveland is viable. I think they're a threat. I think they have a chance to get to the NBA Finals. But I do believe that they got to get through Boston. And in a 7-game series based on playoff experience, provided the Celtics stay healthy and Porzingis can get on the floor, I don't see Cleveland beating Boston in a 7-game series. I still think the Celtics will come back and get back to the NBA Finals and play the Oklahoma City Thunder. Still a lot of basketball left to be played, so we'll see what happens, but that's my take on Cleveland and the Cavs. We're going to move on. We are headed to Oklahoma City. Shout out to the Thunder. Okay, number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP talk. He definitely is having an MVP caliber year, averaging 34 points a game, about 4.5 rebounds a game. So shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jalen Williams has been balling as well, averaging about 21.5 points per game. He's definitely stepped up his game. I just like the Thunder with Holmgren, and he's back from injury, and I like them. They're healthy. Both Jalen Williams on the team have been playing well. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is holding the team together. But I love the Thunder in terms of what they're doing. They recently had a back-to-back with the Nuggets. Ended up blowing out the Nuggets in the first game, pulling away late in the fourth quarter. And then game 2 on a back-to-back, Denver said, hold up. Pump the brakes. We've been there before. Slow your roll. So my biggest concern with Oklahoma City, for everybody watching the show, is do they have enough poise and maturity come playoff time when the game's on the line, or they're in basically a dogfight where it's an elimination game? Do they have the poise and the belief and the know-how to make it happen? Because they're such a young team. I do believe in Oklahoma City. I still believe they're going to go to the NBA Finals. But that remains to be seen, especially what happened last year when Luka, who was playing with the Mavs at that time, him and Kyrie, knocked the Thunder out of the playoffs in the second round. So that was interesting to see how that unfolded. Can the Thunder stay hungry and stay poised and have enough maturity and understanding to know what it takes to get to the next level? That's the biggest question that remains unanswered. But I do believe in them. I love their talent. I love how they protect. They can stretch the floor. They can protect the rim. They're really good at rebounding and getting loose balls. So Oklahoma City is the real deal. Everybody knows that in the Western Conference. In fact, they just went into Boston a couple days ago and beat the Celtics in Boston on the road. So there's a lot of maturity, a lot of growth. I do believe in Oklahoma City. I love what they're building over there. And they're not even done. They still got a few more draft picks in years to come. So really, really excited about the movement in OKC. Solomon, what are your thoughts about the Thunder? Do you think they're poised, despite them being so young? Do you think that they have enough maturity and growth and focus to get to the next level and actually get to the finals, and not only get there, but win it? I believe they can.
Yeah, the answer is yes. I think it's time we got rid of the young mantle on this team.
Right.
They do have playoff experience. These guys have been around. They've been in battles. They've had consecutive good seasons, and so they know how to play ball, and they gel together as a team. Very few. It's not one of those teams where you get one guy who says, I'm the man, and everybody else is just standing around. They play together as a team. That being said, there is a lot of tough competition in the West, and so it remains to be seen if they can transition that good playing basketball into playoff experience and keep the movement moving. And of course, we hope they stay healthy. So that's another big thing.
Right. And speaking of health, shout out to the Lakers, LeBron James, who's been sidelined with that groin injury. I am concerned. I mean, the Lakers have lost 2 straight without LeBron in the lineup. Luka's banged up a little bit as well. But he's still out there playing and trying to make it happen. The Lakers, before LeBron went down, had the best record in the league, particularly since the All-Star break. The Lakers had been balling, and now they're currently sitting in 5th place in the Western Conference, just a couple games behind Memphis, who's got the 4th spot, but Golden State is in the 6th spot, creeping up on LA. But LeBron, definitely at 40 years of age, he's still playing at a high level. His conditioning is off the charts. So I do like what LeBron has been doing on the floor in terms of executing, spacing the floor, letting Luka be Luka, helping him with his development and being just basically a leader. But, the Lakers losing LeBron for an undetermined amount of time, they're saying 1 to 2 weeks. That's an eternity, especially late in the year when you're in the home stretch trying to jockey for playoff position. So I'm a little bit concerned about this injury to LeBron. I think that it would be wise and it would behoove the Lakers to just let him sit down, let him sit out until he's 100%, because right now, the last thing you want to do is bring LeBron back or rush him back too soon, and then he re-injures the groin or it becomes even worse. Because I don't know if you've ever injured a groin. I have, and it's a nightmare. It takes a long time to recover. And as we get older, we all know the recovery time actually takes a lot longer because of age, right? Father Time is undefeated. But at the end of the day, if anybody can make it happen and get over the hump, it's LeBron James. Shout out to the King. Salute you as always for what you do. I think LeBron is the greatest of all time. I mean, recently went over the 50,000 point mark in the NBA. First player in NBA history to do that. But he's putting other players to shame that are 10 years younger than him. In terms of his numbers, I mean, I believe he's averaging about 24 points a game, decent with the assists and the rebounds, just always making an impact on the floor. So I do believe that this is an issue for the Lakers. I know JJ Redick, he may not say it publicly, but I know he's somewhat concerned. They want LeBron back in the lineup sooner than later, right? So I think it's a concern. I think the Lakers are going to basically fall in the standings until LeBron gets back. They might dip down to the 6th or 7th spot in the West, depending upon how hot Golden State stays and these other teams that are vying for playoff position. So what are your thoughts, Solomon, on the LeBron situation? Is it a major concern for you, or do you think we're overreacting here? Because I do believe it is a concern, and seeding in the West, particularly, with the Lakers, I think is important in the first round and moving forward.
Yeah, well, there are two things JJ Redick wants. Number one is he does not want to have his team be part of the play-in. So that is what he's doing, trying to avoid that at all costs. But number two,
right,
he wants to see this team win without LeBron. He wants to see this team win with a healthy Luka, a healthy Austin Reeves, a healthy Dalton Connect, and all those guys, and win with them. Because that's the only way that we can see how good this team really is. Because LeBron, at this point, needs to be a bonus. And so, they're 0-3, but they showed some fight in these games. Luka has looked more like himself in these past few games. And so that's promising. But then, like you said, we're in the final stretch. The Lakers do have a chance of falling out of the playoffs and into the play-in. But hopefully LeBron will be back. I mean, it seems like it's not as bad as a fully torn groin, where, like you said, it takes weeks and weeks to get better. So we're hoping he gets back on time. But I just look at this team as they played when they're all healthy. We get Rui back, we get Jackson Hayes back, who's really surprised some people. If you think about how much people talked about, we don't have a big, and
he's played well.
He's played very well. And so just to have him back in there as well, I think once this team is healthy, they will be formidable in the playoffs.
Right. We are going to move on to Sin City. Viva Las Vegas. One of my favorite spots. Shout out to the Vegas Raiders. Geno Smith, in a surprise move, has landed in Vegas. The Raiders rolled the dice. We'll see if it works out, or are they crapping out? We calling it the gamble in Vegas with Geno. It is a gamble, but I think if Geno Smith can exemplify the way he's played the last 3 years in Seattle, I'm confident in this move. I mean, they only gave up a 3rd round pick. Geno Smith played well for Seattle, led them to the playoffs. I mean, He's shown a lot of growth and maturity at the quarterback position. He's shown a lot of leadership. I still think he's vulnerable to turnovers at times. Sometimes he's turning the football over at inopportune times. So I am a little bit concerned about that. But he can get in the pocket. He can move around. He can make plays with his legs. And he can stretch the field and throw the football well, especially in some tight windows. So I like what he did up in Seattle, when he had Lockett and DK Metcalf and, and Geno Smith. And obviously that team has definitely been disassembled. But Geno Smith is now in Vegas reuniting with Pete Carroll. Shout out to Pete, an OG in the game, right? Pete Carroll's been in football for over 40 plus years, ever since USC and Seattle and coaching. I believe he coached with the Jets, if I'm not mistaken, in the past. But Pete Carroll is an OG. I love the way he coaches. He's a player's coach. He definitely knows the X's and O's. And if anybody can excel Geno Smith and even get him playing at a higher level at QB, I think Pete Carroll is the right fit for the job. So I like what the Raiders are doing, and Tom Brady from an organizational standpoint. Tom Brady has definitely made an impact for the Raiders organization in the early tenure of him coming in and owning a small stake of equity in the franchise and kind of helping them guide them to more winning ways, because he clearly is a winner, one of the greatest of all time, right? So I like what the Raiders are doing organizationally. They're building some structure. I think they're more confident. I think they're making better decisions in terms of their acquisitions. I think Vegas will be a more exciting team to watch, because it's been years of pain and misery for all those fanatics and them Raider fans. Whether you were a fan in Oakland or going back to the LA days or now the Vegas days, it's been tough over there in Vegas, rooting for the Raiders. But I'm not going to front. They got one of the most loyal and dedicated fan bases I've ever seen, Solomon. I've never seen anything like it, because every game is still a sellout. No matter what the record is, they're going to ride with their Raiders, and I'm not mad at them. So shout out to Raider Nation. You still got Crosby, who signed that major extension a while back. The Raiders definitely want to keep him for the entirety of his football career. They did pick up Raheem Mostert from Miami, so they've got a running back in the backfield. That was a one-year deal. But I like what they're doing with Geno Smith. I think he can improve them, because if you don't got a quarterback in the National Football League, you ain't got much. I don't care how good your defense is. If you can't move the football, if you can't put points on the board, you're not going to win a lot. So I think the Raiders can improve. I think they can win about 7 or 8 games, maybe more, if Geno can cut down on the turnovers and the Raiders overall pick up a few more acquisitions. Who knows? But I do like those moves. I like what Pete Carroll is doing. What are your thoughts on the move with Geno Smith? Is it a gamble worth risking? What do you think?
Well, I'm thinking about it more from the standpoint of Geno Smith. I think in Seattle, he got what he finally wanted. He got a home. He got a place where he felt like he was respected as a starting quarterback at the NFL. That was a big thing for him.
Yeah.
Before this, he had been sort of like all these other, journeyman type quarterbacks, going from team to team, being good enough to, manage games and all of that. So he finally found a home there. I'm definitely, in terms of looking from his perspective, I'm not happy he went to the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders have what it takes to support a quarterback like that. I feel like if he had gone to a team like Minnesota or something, where I feel like they have more structure to build around a quarterback, he would have been better off. But I'm concerned that he could end his career in Vegas, because last year that team was a joke. They were a mess, and Geno Smith isn't always healthy. So if you get him sacked a couple of times and he's done, where do you go from there? Where do you go from Las Vegas?
Yeah.
If they go 4-13 or something next year. So I don't feel like it was a good move for him professionally, but I wish him the best. I mean, like you said, Tom Brady's there. So, Tom Brady knows how to build an offensive line. So hopefully, that's something that they bolster up and they put some protection around it.
Well, I respect your position. We'll see how it plays out. I do believe that Geno Smith is a winner. I still think he's got a level of hunger. He wants to win a championship. I don't think it will happen in Vegas with the Raiders, but I do believe that he will make the Raiders a better team. And when you look at what they had to work with O'Connell last year and Gardner Minshew, I still think it's an upgrade in Vegas. And I think under the helm and the guidance of Tom Brady, I think the Raiders are going to ascend. It's going to take some time. I think this is more of a 3 to 5 year plan in Vegas. There is no win now. I mean, obviously, Tom Brady always wants to win because he's always been a winner his whole life. But the win now mentality, as much as the fans want to see it, you've got to give the team time to kind of turn things around. So I think the Raiders are going to get better every year. I think they're probably a good 3 to 4 years away from being a playoff team, and that's just my opinion. But I think they're making the right moves at the right time. So shout out to Geno Smith, Tom Brady, the Raiders organization, Pete Carroll. I think they got a good coach. I like the fact that they did upgrade at quarterback with Geno Smith. I think they made some good other key moves during this offseason. So there's still some time left. We'll see what happens before the regular season. But shout out to Raider Nation and everybody in the black hole. We are moving on, and we are going up to the Pacific Northwest. Shout out to Sam Darnold getting the bag, right? Landed a $100 million contract with Seattle. It's a 3-year deal. If we break that down yearly, he's averaging about $33.3 million a year. That's a whole lot of lettuce on that sandwich, right? The question is, was he worth that bag? Is it sleepless in Seattle? We'll see, because he has been known to sleepwalk on the field in the past. He didn't sleepwalk last year. He did very well, with the exception of the last couple of games with the division on the line against the Lions. And then he just got destroyed by the Rams when they had that playoff game in Arizona. I was very disappointed, but overall, Sam Darnold had a good season last year. Was it worth a $100 million contract? In my opinion, hell no. No, not even close. But I don't sign the check, so Seattle felt like they wanted to take a chance because they traded away Geno Smith. DK Metcalf has been shipped off to the Steelers. Lockett got released recently, so Seattle's looking like a whole different squad. They did pick up Cooper Kupp and sign him to a contract. He's a Yakima native, so Kupp is coming back home. We'll see if that Kupp is going to runneth over or is it going to be knocked down. We shall see. Based on the play of Sam Darnold, so that's going to be a tough division. I think the 49ers are rebuilding. I think Arizona is still a sneaky team. And don't forget about the LA Rams. So I don't believe Seattle is going to compete for a division title under the guidance of Sam Darnold, particularly in his first year under center with the Seahawks. I think he's got to get acclimated. They got to get used to playing with each other in that division. I think Seattle's going to be a middle-of-the-pack team. I think they'll win about 8 or 9 games. The roster has just been too much disassembled, and too many key players and key components are gone now. So it's really hard for me to picture Seattle coming up and competing for the division and winning 10, 11 games. I think they're going to land about 7 or 8 wins. But that's all based on the play of Sam Darnold. And can he mitigate the turnovers and make it happen up there in Seattle? So what are your thoughts, Solomon, on the move? Do you think it's a good move by Seattle? Is it sleepless in Seattle? You think the Seahawks can fly high with Sam Darnold? I personally think it wasn't the best move for Seattle. I think they could have tested the market and got a better quarterback, because we only have a small sample size of Sam Darnold. We have one season, which was last year, which started off very well, was in talks as an MVP candidate, but then he just nosedived the last couple weeks of the year, including that playoff debacle against the Rams. He just looked terrible.
Yeah, well, the only other thing you have to consider when you're talking about paying a quarterback is if you don't do it, somebody else will. And so sometimes these quarterbacks ending up having bigger contracts than, like you said, than you think they're worth, because there aren't that many good pro level quarterbacks out there right now, and so they had to do what they had to do to secure Sam Darnold. The thing that confuses me is, why do you then blow up the team and get rid of just a quality wide receiver, unless of course there's some financial concerns there. But you do bring in Cooper Kupp, who's proven, if not undersized. So you know what I mean? That's another thing to think about. So I don't really know.
He gets hurt a lot too.
Yeah, and I don't really know what their plan is for this year. Like you said, it just doesn't seem like overall it was like there's a clear plan for this team. But congrats to Sam Darnold on making money. And again, he was one of those guys that you didn't know which way he was going to go.
Yeah.
Now they're seeing him as a franchise quarterback, so good for him. But it remains to be seen what this team can do this year. I agree with you. I think 8 wins, maybe max.
Yeah, and it's not in the toughest division either. I mean, the NFC West used to be that way, but I think the 49ers are taking some steps back. The Cardinals are kind of a middle of the pack team. They can be hot and cold. Especially Kyler Murray, if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
But I think Seattle, I kind of got the impression that they were on the rebuild when they basically released Lockett. This is before they signed Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, well, Lockett was old, though.
But Lockett was still making plays.
Yeah, he was, but
Lockett had it locked down now. Don't front. I mean, Lockett was still balling, and DK Metcalf was still making plays.
I agree.
So for them to get rid of Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Lockett, that was a sign to me that Seattle was trying to rebuild. But now that they signed Sam Darnold, they got Cooper Kupp, and who knows, maybe they have a few tricks up their sleeve that we don't know about. So if they can pick up some other key acquisitions, maybe they'll be a little bit more competitive. I think they're a few years away from being back to where they were trying to get to. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
In the future. But shout out to the Hawks and up there in Pacific Northwest, to the fans. We see y'all up there in Washington State. Speaking of a former teammate in Seattle, we are moving to, I don't know where we're moving to, because he was in Pittsburgh, but in Russ we trust. Do we trust Russ? Russell Wilson, I mean, there's a lot of talks. He had a meeting with Cleveland. He's supposed to be meeting with the New York Giants. Me personally, I think the best landing spot for Russell Wilson is to stay his ass in Pittsburgh. He was 6-5 as a starter last year. Started off really good, but then the Steelers' offense kind of went this way and declined. Basically, they were in the tank. They couldn't catch a nosebleed, to be honest with you. I mean, on the field, they were just stinking up the field, stinking up the joint, hence the toilet flushing, right? So Pittsburgh has got some major decisions to make. They basically let Justin Fields walk. He's in New York with the Jets. I personally thought that they should have kept Justin Fields as well on the roster, but I don't make those decisions. But it'll be interesting to see what Mike Tomlin and ownership wants to do in Pittsburgh, because as everybody knows, you got to have a viable quarterback in this league, particularly in the AFC North. I mean, that's one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, because you got the Ravens, you got the Cincinnati Bengals, and yes, you do have the Cleveland Browns, who have been in the basement, but nonetheless, Cleveland still plays hard. So every game in that division is a battle. It's a dogfight. So I personally believe, Russ, you're best served in Pittsburgh. I think they should run it back. They only gave him 1 year. I think he developed some good chemistry late in the year with Pickens. Now you got DK Metcalf in the mix as well. He came over. I believe he's got a contract worth roughly about $150 million. They've extended him to 2029. So the Steelers are in the mix, but you got to have a quarterback. And I believe that the best move for Pittsburgh, in Russ we trust, I think they should keep Russell Wilson, bring him back. Especially there's no Justin Fields now. He has some familiarity with the offense. Can he get it done? Can he get him over the hump? They struggled a lot in the red zone last year, particularly late in the year and in the postseason, to score points. They could move the ball down the field, but they couldn't close the deal when they had to get the ball in the end zone. They settled for a lot of field goals. So we'll see what happens. I think it's a priority for Pittsburgh to really assess the situation. I would decide sooner than later, right? I think it would be crazy if Russell Wilson lands in Cleveland in the same division and is playing for the Browns instead of the Steelers. But players play the game. They got to do what's best for them. Organizations that are running the game, this is a business, so we'll see what happens. What are your thoughts here, Solomon, on the Russell Wilson situation? You know, in Russ we trust. Do you think that Russell Wilson should stay in Pittsburgh? Do you think it behooves the Steelers to run it back with Russ, or do you think Russ should move on and get some rust off those tires and see what's going on in the Big Apple with the Giants or in Cleveland?
Well, again, we go back to what we've always talked about with Pittsburgh. It's a very loyal team. It's very loyal to its players, and I love their tradition. And I think Russell Wilson loved being there. I think he had a great relationship with not only Mike Tomlin, but with the ownership as well. And so I think they committed to him early on. And the fact that they let Justin Fields walk when everybody would have reasonably thought, okay, you've got Russell Wilson, who's this older guy, Justin Fields, who's played very well and is younger to be the future of that team. The fact that they let him walk, I think tells you what their plan is. And so they've upgraded at wide receiver, and they're saying, okay, Russ, we trust you. We believe in you, and we're willing to give you another shot. I can't see them parting with him. Who else are they going to get? You know what I mean? There's just really not that many great quarterbacks out there. And this is a team that has consistently made the playoffs. They're not looking to rebuild. They're not looking to start over, test a rookie or any of this stuff. So I believe he stays. I hope he stays. He said he likes being there, and I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him play, another year with Pittsburgh at least.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tomlin, third all time in terms of consecutive seasons with a winning record. It's been 17. Let's see if he can go into year 18 and make it happen. But I think there's some restlessness in Pittsburgh and some growing frustration in the Steel City, particularly because the Steelers, the fans don't want to settle for a playoff spot. They want to see a championship.
Yeah.
I mean, the Steeler fan base is huge. I think next to the Raiders and the Cowboys, I think the Steelers have the biggest fan base in the NFL. And fans are getting frustrated. Despite the fact that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, they want to see more. Wild card round, first round, and bye-bye is not good enough. I don't blame them. But I do question the level of commitment that Pittsburgh has with Russell Wilson, because they basically have let him talk to other teams. They have not pulled the trigger and taken the initiative. There's no urgency where they've re-signed him. So I can't be upset with Russ exploring his options. He still, is got that Denver contract. I mean, he basically committed highway robbery with the Broncos organization. They ate over $85 million in dead money, against the cap, releasing him. But we'll see what happens in Pittsburgh. But shout out to Russ. I still trust you, Russell. I think you can still play at a high level. I think the Steelers should wake up sooner than later, re-sign Russ to an extension, and bring him back as QB number one. Speaking of bringing people back, or actually somebody coming into the mix, I had mentioned this earlier, DK Metcalf. Shout out to him. He joins the Steelers. He basically, it's rumored that it's about $150 million contract to come to the Steelers from Seattle. So I think DK Metcalf will be a key acquisition for that offense. I think him on one side, and then you got Pickens on the other side of the field. I think that makes a major, major upgrade in the wide receiver room for the Steelers. So question is, who's going to be throwing the rock? Who's throwing the ball to these guys? That remains to be seen, but I think Mike Tomlin is a great players coach. I think DK Metcalf, as great as he was in Seattle, I think he can even become even bigger and better in Pittsburgh, provided he stays healthy and they utilize him in the offense the right way. I think DK Metcalf can really have a breakout year. He's just basically an athletic specimen, a beast, right? I mean, this guy is just big and tall and strong and fast. So I do like the move. Congrats on the engagement, by the way, to you and your future bride. That was announced recently. So good luck to you and your family, but congratulations on getting the bag. I'm not mad at you, DK. Hopefully it will be done your way all day. I ain't got nothing else to say, but shout out to DK. You know what time it is. We are going to move on And we are landing, I don't know where we're landing, but we're going to start in the Big Apple because that apple was rotten last year for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, right? It was just a disaster season. But speaking of free agency and the Jets releasing Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood, where will that be? It'll be interesting to find out. He's supposed to meet with, I believe, the Steelers as well as the New York Giants. And there's even rumors that he may meet with the Cleveland Browns. But Aaron Rodgers is kind of a funny guy, right? Because he does everything at his own pace. He basically will hold a franchise hostage, go into his dark cave and his retreats, wherever the hell that may be, overseas or in some cave somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and take a couple weeks and kind of try to figure out what his next move is. I personally don't agree with that formula, but I'm not sipping haterade. Much love and respect to you, Aaron, whatever works for you. If I'm running a franchise in an organization, at this point, he's 40 years of age, coming off that Achilles tear. He was top 10 in the league in terms of his numbers at quarterback. He did have a late burst. He came on late in the year and put up some decent numbers, despite the fact that Jets went nowhere with Aaron under center. So I think his numbers are a little bit misleading based on the quality of competition that the Jets were playing, particularly in the second half of the year. But, the question remains to be seen, not just in New York or Pittsburgh, but around the league. Can Aaron Rodgers make it happen? Does he still got any magic left? Can he really lead a team to the promised land? I'll be honest with you, and I think he's a Hall of Famer, and he's had a great career. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I would hang it up. I think it's time. Father Time is undefeated. I just don't think he has the same drive and the same hunger to be a franchise quarterback. He turns the football over. I don't think he always makes the best decisions. It was a disaster in New York. So if I'm the Giants, maybe you give it a shot. I mean, Daniel Jones is no longer there. You don't really have anybody. What do you got to lose? I'm not mad at the Giants if they try to roll the dice with Aaron. If I'm the Steelers, it's not even a thought. I mean, Russ or Aaron, I bring back Russ in a heartbeat. I don't think it'd be a good move for Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin, but who knows organizationally what they're thinking. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers can play at a high level and have the leadership capability and the stamina and the motivation and the drive to show up for mandatory camp, OTAs. Is he going to get involved? Is he going to be on the same page with the receivers? Is he going to make a commitment, especially making millions of dollars, to really be all in? I don't think mentally and emotionally he's there, and I don't think he's been there for a few years. That's just my opinion. It remains to be seen. If I'm Pittsburgh, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. If I'm the Giants, I would maybe give it some consideration because they really have nothing to work with in New York. It's just been a disastrous season last year for the Jets and the Giants. Like I said, that apple has been rotten for quite some time. With that being said, Solomon, what are your thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers situation? Where is Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood going to end up, or do you think it's retirement? I think he should hang it up.
Well, I sort of agree that he should probably hang it up, but with regard to the question of does he still have it, I believe yes, he does. It's sort of like a basketball player. As he gets older, he stops slashing to the basket and starts shooting threes and starts picking his spots.
Yeah.
A quarterback can sustain his career by becoming a better passer, by getting a better offensive line to work behind, and a better running game. And so if he lands in the right situation.
Hold on. Almost made it through the whole thing.
Almost. Yeah. So if he lands in the right situation, where he has a strong team like that, I feel like he can be effective. And like you said, it's up to him to stay healthy. Can he throw the long ball? Probably not. But the long ball, if you look at the NFL right now, the long ball isn't really a huge part of games now, it seems like. It seems like more people are slashing across the middle and, getting yards after the catch. I mean,
have you been drinking?
No, I just, but that's what you got to do when you're an older quarterback too. You gotta accommodate that inability to chuck the ball like that. So if anybody's gonna take a chance on them, that's what it's got to be: a strong running game, strong offensive line, and shifty receivers who can get open quick, get the ball, and get downfield. That's the way it works.
Well, speaking of running games, I mean, they let Najee Harris go. He's in LA with the Rams. So I'm not so confident in the Steelers' running game. I honestly believe that Russell Wilson gives the Steelers a better chance to win than Aaron Rodgers.
And I agree. So that's why we don't know where he'll end up. So
we shall see.
Yeah.
We appreciate the love. Episode 53 is in the books. It's your boy Mack B and Solomon. We in the building. Sports Hop episode 53. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace and love. Thanks for watching Sports Hop. For all the latest news on hip hop and sports, subscribe here and keep it locked. It's your boy Mack B.